Hello, everybody. Greetings to all. Welcome to the Snooker Hall podcast. I'm Dan Murren, back for another season of Snooker Chat. It has been nearly 2 months since the last episode. Thank you again to Neil Folds, celebrating his birthday on the day of recording, today actually. And of course, thank you to everybody who listened. It is the most played episode of 2026 so far. The other major sporting summer events are coming to an end, one by one. Wimbledon has finished, and given who won the men's tournament, the less said about that, the better. And the World Cup is almost over too. I know it's coming home. I don't think it's ever really left. But if we lose, then the less said about that too. To break off the new snooker campaign, I thought we could dive straight into the playing side of the game. My guest today is a professional player. He's returning to the tour, and I'm always interested to see how players react to joining the tour. I'm very happy to say that the Storm himself, Sean O'Sullivan, is on the Snooker Hall podcast. Sean, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
No, it's a pleasure to have you on. It's always good to talk with professional players about the sport, which we all love.
Yeah.
But before we talk about snooker, what other sports are you into?
Well, you mentioned the tennis. I've always been a Federer fan. So and probably Alcaraz now that Federer's retired. I wasn't overly happy to see Sinner win.
And why is that? I think we all know.
I think, probably the obvious reason. Federer. I was very lucky growing up of watching him and Nadal and obviously Djokovic, but others like Hewitt, Roddick. I've just got the tail end of Sampras as well. I vaguely remember watching a little bit of Sampras. So it's a couple of great eras that I managed to watch. Other sports, I like my darts, I like my golf, but football's probably the main one that I watch more than anything else. It causes me so much stress, as you can understand as an Arsenal fan. It's been although it's been an unbelievable season, it was so stressful. It's been more stressful having won the league than probably the three previous seasons, and obviously finishing off with losing on penalties in the Champions League final was a sore one, but it seems like we're going in the right direction. So yeah, it's all good.
You know what? If someone had offered me at the start of the season, Arsenal win the league, make the Champions League final, and push the reigning champions all the way, about as far as you can get, I would have said that's a good season. Making another domestic cup final as well, that's a good season. And given that supposedly our best player, Bukayo Saka, was, I'm going to say, pretty much a passenger for most of it, injuries, lack of form, I think they did really well. And I was watching the trophy presentation at a pub here in Copenhagen, and it's the official Arsenal pub.
Nice.
It's just called Pool Pub, actually, where they have loads of tables, but the pockets are buckets. So even I can look good playing. But no one was playing pool that day. It was all on the big screen and the dozens of screens they have around. And there were hundreds of Arsenal fans. And people came in to Copenhagen just to be there. And just seeing hundreds of red shirts. I never thought I'd see it again. It's been 22 years. And I was still a teenager when Arsenal last won the league. And I never thought I'd see it again. And yeah, I'm not going to deny it. I welled up a little bit watching them lift the trophy, because after so many close calls, it was tough, but it was worth it in the end. You're following the World Cup as well?
Yes, I have been. I hadn't planned to, but I ended up staying up to watch even the Argentina game. Thinking, done in 90 minutes. Obviously, what goes to extra time, and then I look at my phone and it's like 4:30 in the morning. I'm regretting this. I mean, for England, I think they've done. I mean, results-wise, they've done really well, obviously, but performance has not been great. I don't think. I think Tuchel's he's finding a way to win these matches. I've actually really liked most of his subs. The subs have been very good, I think, and have got them over the line. Obviously, Kane and Bellingham have been the majority of all the work they've done. But I think it's a shame if we're talking about Saka. I think if Saka was fully fit, I think it would be a massive difference. I mean, obviously, even throughout the Premier League season, he's just not been right. You can tell his Achilles. There's no explosiveness. So he's still got the quality. I think if you could merge him and Madueke for Madueke's speed and explosiveness for Saka's just end product, you'd have an unbelievable player. So that's the only thing I'm a bit worried about with Saka, especially for next season, is that if he, how long is it going to take for him to get back up to speed, especially if hopefully there's another 2 matches they've got. He's not going to have much of a pre-season. Same with Rice. Rice has been running to the ground. I mean, what a player, but
but he's an elite athlete and his work rate is beyond question. But he's still only human. He's had a long season, and I think during the season, Mikel Arteta could have subbed him off against some of the lesser teams. Like you're winning 2-0 with 15 minutes to go.
Yeah,
that's what you got Christian Norgard for.
I know. I was surprised that Norgard didn't get more minutes than he ended up doing.
And a little stat about Christian Norgard before the final match. So after the first 37 Premier League matches for Arsenal, Christian Norgard had played fewer Premier League minutes for Arsenal than Eberechi Eze had played for Crystal Palace. 56 minutes he played in the first 37 matches.
Oh, wow.
And Eze played the whole 90 for Crystal Palace in the first game.
Yeah.
The whole season, he just didn't use Christian Norgard. And no wonder your best midfielder's knackered. I just didn't get it. It's, but, he knows what he's doing. He's just won a league so what do I know?
Yeah, I think he was a bit desperate, obviously, to get the job done, and that was the price he paid for it. Even now, I mean, Rice, apart from that last game in the quarters where you could tell he'd been ill, there was reports that he was poorly throughout the week. He just didn't look himself. So hopefully, in another few days, I think it's Wednesday, we're playing the semis. Yeah, he'll have shifted whatever that was, and he'll be a little bit better. And he's going to be massive if England are going to get through to the final against Argentina.
I think if you've been ill in the last few days, then that's an automatic yellow card if you're facing Argentina afterwards. And I think, is it automatic 3 yellow cards for the opposition of Argentina? I think it is, and the goalkeeper isn't allowed to use their hands. And not that I'm saying it's a conspiracy or anything like that, but I think there's, I'm going to say it. It doesn't seem quite fair to me. I'm not usually a tinfoil hat kind of guy, but there's been a few little.
It does kind of feel like that. Even in the last World Cup, it seemed a little bit like that. Everything sort of destined towards getting Messi the World Cup and getting them Argentina over the line a little bit. But I love Messi. I'm a Messi fan rather than like a Ronaldo fan, so I kind of don't mind it. But when they're coming up against England now, semis would be a good run for Argentina.
Yeah, and I'm optimistic. I really think it can happen.
I think it's going to be a tough game. I think it will be. I think it'll only be won by 1 goal probably.
It's not going to be
maybe a bit of magic. I mean, the Alvarez goal for Argentina to put them in front in extra time was just a wonder strike. Who is actually a target of Arsenal's? So apparently we're trying to get a deal done, but I don't know. I don't think we're going to spend another 90, 100 million on someone like that.
You always wonder who's starting these stories. Is it the agent? Is it the player? Is it?
Yeah, to pump the price up.
I never believe it until I see it confirmed.
Yeah, well, I mean, Eze was one.
Of course, yeah.
Hours. Well, he was going to Tottenham, and then all of a sudden,
yeah, he made a good career move. He really did. He absolutely did. Because there's, imagine being a gooner and playing for Tottenham. Okay, you take the money, of course, but
I mean, I thought about it. I don't think I could do it. Being a footballer and liking a team and actually being a hardcore fan is different. because the money doesn't come into it as much, I suppose. Especially when you on football and money, it's crazy. But I couldn't do it. I wouldn't be able to play for Spurs. I'd rather be on, especially like I said, football and money. I'd rather be on a tenth of that and play for someone else.
What you're doing, yeah. And feel proud about it, yeah. It's,
yeah. And then he had not a great season really, but his two best performances being against Spurs is just
against Spurs, yeah.
Oh, okay.
5 goals, I believe it was in.
Oh yeah, it's Brighton, yeah, 5 times. That's why he did the Booker T celebration.
Oh, the Spinaroonie.
Spinaroonie, yeah, yes. He did 5 times after he scored his second goal in the second game, yeah.
Booker T, that's a reference I haven't heard in a long time, actually.
But he was
good. Yeah, he was No, I've made a few wrestling references on the podcast over. Usually it's Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yes,
yeah. But,
or The Rock or something like that, yeah.
Rock. I love Kurt Angle as well.
Yeah.
It's not the same as
nah.
comedy jokers now. Last bit of football. I'm thinking back now, and previous guests of the Snooker Hall podcast who were Gooners. Joe Perry, I'm pretty sure is a Gooner.
Yeah.
Ian Burns, I know is a Gooner. Because, Ian Burns, a northern lad. But so he always says it's a little bit of a surprise, but I'm a Gooner. It's like,
yeah.
But
he's throws off a little
classy, bit. So yeah. And Alfie Burden may be joining the podcast at some point. Soon.
Yeah.
So,
I'm a big Arsenal fan, but he is massive.
He's next level.
Yeah.
No,
that'd be good.
Good, yeah. For the last 2 seasons, one of the season opening episodes, if that's how you would say it, has been players who have joined the tour. So 2 years ago it was Robbie McGuigan. Last year, Florian Nussler. Brand new pros, but for you it's slightly different because you're back on the tour. You've been there before. So I was thinking about this, and I can't answer the question, you can. But is that a hindrance or a help to know because you know kind of what to expect, but does that help you or does that kind of add more pressure? What's the...
there is 2 ways of looking at it. I mean, I think having that experience of this is my 5th go on the tour, so I don't think there's many people who have done that. That experience that I've had will definitely help, but also then there's more scars from previous seasons, so it's a kind of a balance. But I'd like to think the experience will definitely outweigh any of the battle scars that might have come in the past. So yeah, I'm glad.
This idea of scars has come up a bit recently, and it was Taylor Wilson who said it, talking about Kyron.
Yeah.
And it was losing the Masters final to Sean Murphy. Sean played alright. Kyron also played alright, but Sean just had too big a lead after the first session. But he said that was a scar because he felt that was an opportunity he missed. And then he comes back. Well, the first sort of comeback from losing that Masters final, he said straight away in his speech, "Going to go smash it in Berlin." He goes and wins it.
Yeah.
And then he comes back and wins the same tournament next year. But he said without those scars, a player can't really... You got to feel the pain to make...
Yeah, it gives you that extra bite that you need sometimes, extra motivation to, when you're under the gun, when you're trying to clear up to win a frame or a match or a tournament, sometimes you just need that. You need that experience, even if it's a bad experience, to motivate you to get over the line.
I want to say I associate with Goran Ivanisevic. So he played 3 Wimbledon finals, lost them all.
Yeah.
I think it was Agassi, Sampras and Sampras, so legends he lost against. And he said something like, when he actually won it, he said to lose a 4th would kill me. And I never wanted to feel that way again. And it's, to win Wimbledon is one of the greatest feats a tennis player can achieve. But to lose a 4th would have killed him. But I suppose he needed those scars to kind of step up and it's like, no, I'm not losing again, and find something. And okay, tennis is a more physically demanding sport than snooker, of course, but I suppose it's still, still got to be mentally on it though. You can't let panic get in. You can't let frustration creep in, because then you're gonna fall apart, I guess, right?
Yeah, and I suppose that will define the person, in that situation. So with Goran, he obviously thought, no, I'm not letting this happen again, and use it as a motivation. But some people, they can't. It makes them feel worse. So it's, I think it's all on the day. I think you need a little bit of luck on your side. Things to just go right for you at the right time. And yeah, I think Kyron was a good example of using it as a motivation, definitely, especially in snooker. Being able to bounce back pretty quickly from a loss like that is it's difficult to do. So this is why I'd be intrigued to see how Mark Allen will get on this season after what. I mean, I've missed easy pots and that under nowhere near the pressure that was, but how will he have been more determined? Will he have taken a bit of time off? Because everyone's different. Will he have taken the time off to just get it out of his system, or will he have, maybe had a week off or a couple of weeks off and then knuckled down? I don't know, but it will be interesting to see how he starts this season now after such a. I mean, it's such a horrible thing to happen in the biggest stage, So
Not just the fact that in terms of finance, he lost out on a lot of money because of that miss.
yeah,
But about half an hour after, I saw him in the Graduate with one of his mates, and he was ordering a pint. So I guess he just needed to forget about snooker for a little while. But yeah, it's just one of those. He could do it blindfolded.
yeah.
If you tell him where the balls are, and it's just one of those. But you said you've missed easier shots than that.
Yeah. I mean, look,
everyone
as
misses
a
shots.
snooker fan, watching that, just the black that he's missed, I would go, why has he had such a long bridge? Because he could easily got his hand on the bed of the table, and he is renowned for being really close with his bridge to the cue ball. And pressure does that. I don't know, but then you watch back the pink beforehand. He had the same bridge, and he played a really good shot. So everything's results based. You can do something really unorthodox that you wouldn't normally do, and it work. So you can't win either way unless the result goes your way. So it'd be interesting to see. I haven't bumped into him since, so it'd be interesting to see if he going back if he would put his hand on the table for that shot instead. Because I think personally, I don't think he would miss, because it just the long bridge, you kind of feel like you have to hit it a little bit harder. Whereas him, he's really good at just dropping balls in dead weight. So I think hand on the bed of the table, he drops it in. I think no problem. I'm like that. I'd rather play balls slowly. Some people prefer stunning them, hitting them a bit harder. I think Mark, he would have been more suited to dropping it in. I mean, obviously hindsight's great, but for me personally, I'd love to know if he would change that more than anything else, or whether it was just he wasn't even thinking about it, and it just felt natural, it felt right at the time. If it felt right at the time, then you can't do anything about it, and that's life. That's why you try and learn from it. I don't know, but it'd be interesting to see what he would say.
Last season, I saw Mark Allen a few times, and I was over in Brentwood when he lifted the English Open Championship, and he was under pressure then because Zhou Yulong came back.
Yeah, I remember.
Had a big chance, and I think should have won it in the end.
Yeah,
but Mark Allen got in first, but it just looked so calm, and I just thought, man, this guy can handle the pressure. Okay, the English Open final is not as big as the World Championship semi-final, but he looked so calm and composed during the break. He was just rolling. When he's in and around the black spot, he just did these little shots. Maybe they're stun shots, but they're not that powerful. They're not punched in. But his cue ball control was immaculate. And it won him not only the frame, then the match, and the tournament. But he just looks so zen. He's not going to miss, and you could put your house on him betting that, potting that black, and but
the weird thing
you're right.
the weird thing for Mark, the following frame, obviously that was to go 16-all instead of winning 17-15, I think. Obviously went to a decider. Mark actually got in, and I looked at him. I thought he's actually all right here. In a way that the pressure changes because you know you should have won and it's gone and you've got another chance. You're like, oh, okay, I feel a bit better. Sometimes that can happen. You know, if you've been in front and someone's hunting you down, the pressure can change once it gets to a decider. And I think that looked like that was what happened. And it was only for a bad split, I think. He went into the pack and he didn't get on anything. I can't really remember off the top of my head, but I'm sure that was what happened. And then he didn't get another chance after that, I don't think.
And
what a difference.
But it's those sliding doors moments.
Yeah.
And I said to Neil Folds in that last episode I mentioned, we were talking about Will Hughes have been good, but he's fun to watch. Is it sustainable? Okay, the stars aligned for him in a number of ways.
Yeah.
Especially over those last few days. And a lot of things that were beyond his control went his way. And even in that decider against Sean Murphy, Sean, of all the places he could land.
Yeah.
Okay, but maybe it's a mistake. He pounced on the mistake, though. And I've forgotten exactly how I framed it, but is Will Hughes actually that good? I mean, yes, he is. Of course he is. But
yeah, of course, yeah.
If things were played again, maybe a bit of luck might have gone another way, and he wouldn't be world champion right now. And I think a few things went his way, but I always say a fluke's only worth it if you capitalise on it.
Yeah, if you make the most of it, yeah.
Yeah, otherwise it was pointless. So
yeah. On a slightly smaller scale, I feel like this is just going from experience, but my run this year at Q School was a bit like that. I could easily have lost 3 of those matches, but things just happened at the right time, and I played good shots at the right time, and someone missed at the right time. It just and I luckily made the most of those chances that I ended up getting. I had one against Ryan Davies. I was 3-0 down. 9 times out of 10, I don't come back from that. But on the day I just felt okay. I didn't feel like I'd played that bad to be 3-0 down, and I dealt with that, the mental side of that part, pretty well. And then I found it was only like a 50 odd, but it was not like one of the best 50s I've ever made in the decider. On another day, I might have rattled one. Might have played it right, but misjudged the angle. I don't know, but things just happen, and like you said, it's pouncing on that opportunity that you get because you won't always get it. And Wuyiza, managed to do that. You think back to Jimmy White, the amount of chances he. All right, yeah. So he in was it 94? He missed the black. On another day, it's just one of those. It might have been a mental twitch. It might have been a physical twitch. Sometimes you still pop them. That's the thing. Like, I've twitched balls and they've still gone in, and you just get away with it, and then you carry on the break, and it kind of sharpens you up. Like Stephen Hendry says that a lot in commentary. Or he's rattled on there, and that'll wake him up a little bit. That'll sharpen his focus. And sometimes you need that. And some people get away with it, some people don't. And that's just what happened on that day. There's such fine margin. And that's why I think snooker's the most difficult sport. I know it's not as physically demanding. It is still physically demanding, but not as much as like tennis and all the rest of it. But it's so difficult. On any given day, you could play almost perfect snooker and still lose. There's not many sports where that can happen. Yeah.
And I think you made a good point there. And I said earlier that tennis isn't as physically demanding as, snooker isn't as physically demanding as tennis. And you know what? Yeah, it's true. Like,
yeah, of course.
You don't need to run for maybe up to 4, 5, 6 hours. Fine, but it's that when I first heard about Formula One drivers just getting in shape, and it was Kimi Raikkonen was the example, and it was just fit body, fit mind. Yeah. And when you're driving at such speed, you need to be sharp. If you're groggy because you've got a cold or you're hungover from the night before, you're not going to drive well.
No.
So it was just the case of fit body, fit mind. And when you see some of the players, like they take their fitness seriously. Like Neil Robertson,
looks after himself.
Quite into it, yeah.
And, yeah.
He's done all right, and he's still doing all right, even though he's say, in the later
Yeah.
stages of his career now, but it clearly must do something. And the aforementioned Mark Allen, Sean Murphy, John Higgins, they've all consciously made an effort to lose a bit of weight.
Change the lifestyle a little bit. Yeah.
It's so physicality does come into it, and
Yeah.
I know I've discussed with Mandy Fisher, and okay, when it comes to javelin, the best men are going to beat the best women because of just they will just have more physical or upper body strength. But when it comes to snooker, just blasting the ball as hard as you can, it's just not the same. If anything, it might be a hindrance.
Yeah.
It's about technique, and
Only technique. Yeah.
but you can only really deliver the technique if you're in at least half good shape, right? It's you're not running a marathon.
It definitely helps, and especially over longer matches. It definitely helps if you look after yourself, I think. But then the other side is you compare the class of '92. They're all completely different people. Ronnie obviously looks after himself, runs, and he's in good shape and whatever. Like you said, John Higgins has lost a bit of weight, and again he's starting to look after himself a bit more. But Mark Williams, he's not bothered at all. He has his kebabs, he does whatever, and then at the end of the day, you look at those three as they're so different. Their mentalities are the same in that they're just pure winning machines. I know Willow's very laid back, and if he doesn't win, fine, which is an incredible attribute to have. But when he's out there playing, he wants to win as much as anyone else.
He's a beast, yeah.
And that's why they are up there, and that's why Mark Allen's up there. Even though on that day, that black's not gone in, but that's why he's won so many titles, and he's pushing for, whatever the number one ranking is. I'm sure he'll get to. Did he get to? I think he got to one at one point. For a little while, yeah. You don't get to world number one unless you are a machine, and he is. Yeah. It's just, we all miss balls. It's just one of those things. Unfortunately for him, it was just in a really important stage.
It happened to be the worst ball you could have missed. Yeah, it's
just one of those things.
You mentioned your Q school, right?
Yeah.
So you up in the quarterfinals, I believe it was called, in your qualifying match, we'll call it. You're up against Josh Tummond.
Josh, yeah.
And okay, you got over the 4-2. So not a cakewalk by any means. But those moments, I'm listening to Talking Snooker, Phil O'Kane, a good friend of yours.
Yeah.
Nick Metcalf asked him, what was that moment like? And I guess for Phil, it would be slightly different because this was his first time.
First time.
But for you, what was when you know that you're over the line, like there's no coming back from this lead?
Well, I had to pop match ball twice, which was frustrating at the time because it got a bit twitchy. But just the way the match went, I should have been 1-0 up. I was really annoyed with myself because I had a great chance to go 1-0 up, and I felt like if I'd got in front early, I probably would have kept the pressure on Josh, and I'd have kept it at a comfortable scoreline. You don't know; it might not have been; it might have turned out differently. But that's how I felt the match was going. But I dealt with that pretty well, losing that first frame, and I think I went into a 3-1 lead. And then all of a sudden, Josh has gone for everything. I mean, he's pretty attacking anyway, but he just thought, "Sod this! I'm gonna start, lampshade stuff." And he started potting some, and within 10 minutes, it's 3-2. I was like, "Oh, here we go." All right, so I really need to work on the sports psychology stuff I'd started working on, and that sort of keep myself in the present. And I managed to pop match ball. He needed a snooker on the brown. He's potted it. He's potted because I dropped it over the pocket. He's potted the brown, and he's got a snooker straight away on the blue. Ramped me behind the black. I thought, here we go. Yeah, I've missed that. So, to be fair, I didn't. I wasn't. Oh, I've done it. I didn't completely relax because I've been there enough times and I've lost matches in that situation before, so I knew. But still, it's gut wrenching when that happens. You're like, oh no, I've got to go through 10, 15 minutes of pain here, and we were on that blue for ages. To be fair to both of us, we both played some really good safety. It was just granite. He nearly got me in a couple of good snookers. I got out of them. I just kept him at bay for as long as possible, and luckily, then he's left me like a half chance of a long blue, and I just, for some reason, I just fancied it. I thought, right, I'm going to go for it. Because if I'd have missed, they'd have been on for him to clear up. So I felt, like you said about earlier, but just felt zen, and that was that. I think because I'd already got match ball, and I had to go back again, I felt a bit more calm for some reason. Just trusted myself, and I potted it, managed to drop the pink in, game over. Then that's when for sure. I've learned that over the years that it's never over. Like the one I always go back to is Gary Wilson and Yulong.
Yulong, yep.
Unbelievable.
Many times. Don't celebrate too early.
I will never show emotion like that to win a match until I know and I've shook hands with the opponent.
Yeah.
Just can't. The snooker. I mean, people talk about snooker gods. The snooker gods will not forgive you for that.
No.
You can't do it. So it was a lot of relief, more relief than I wanted, because I felt really proud of myself to get over the line, but it didn't ruin it, but it was like, oh, I wish I'd done it the first time, but it doesn't matter. I was proud of myself. Back on the tour. You
wouldn't put yourself back in that situation and take the chance of doing it in a better way, would you?
No. But yeah, it was more pride than anything else, because it's been a tough couple of years trying to get back on the tour. I've had issues with my shoulders, and I've got an issue with my elbow at the minute I'm trying to sort out. So it's been just hard work. So yeah, a lot of it was pride, as much as there was obviously relief to get over the line in the end.
And this idea of physicality, that comes into it as well. So you hear about players, so you mentioned your shoulder there, other players, they say, oh, I've got a shoulder problem or an elbow problem, or sometimes it's back or neck problems.
Yeah, neck.
You need to be in some sort of half decent shape to play snooker at a good level. And I will say, when was this? It would have been March, April. I think it was April. I went over on the weekend trip. I was over in Riga and found a billiards club, and they had a half decent snooker table there. So I played there. I was with my wife, and she's not bad actually, but it was just a little bit sweaty in the snooker hall, and I missed a couple of easy shots, and I was getting frustrated. I was just, oh, for God's sake, how did I miss that? And, I'm on a break of 15, and, for me, that's quite good. But and I've got a pink to make it 21. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm into 20s here. And I miss a simple pink. I was like, oh, for God's sake. But when you're actually in a tournament, and especially when there's so much on the line, like in that match against Josh, you said it's 3-2, and you just fancied that blue.
Yeah.
You've got to have confidence in that moment, because unless my mathematics is wrong, if you miss that and leave it on, and he clears up, you're into the decider.
Yeah. And then it gets twitchy.
Yeah. And the last thing you want is a decider. You just want to get it done, rip off the Band-Aid. So, but that, just potting that ball that's got to give you confidence. Like, you can do it. Like, no one who plays snooker on the tour is a bad player. But to know that you can deliver when the moment requires it, that's got to give you confidence, right?
Well, that was not just that match. I mean, like I said, in other matches, I was down and out, and I found my best snooker at that point when, there was no return. If I don't either clear up here or play good snooker from this point, then I'm out. I'm done, and I've got to go to event 2. So that was a positive. It gives me confidence that I know I can do it. It's just like I said, the issues I've had, especially with my shoulder. Now I've got golfer's elbow at the minute, which is ironic because I haven't hit a golf ball since pre-COVID, which is annoying. So I don't even get the benefit of it. So I'm trying to get that sorted. I've just had PRP injection in my elbow. I think it's called platelet replacement plasma injection. So they take your blood out, put it in a machine, spin it, and then they take the plasma back out and put it back into the site where you're whether it's a knee or a shoulder or an elbow, and that helps to heal the area. It can take it can take months, so I've got to have another injection in 6 weeks' time.
That's for joints, or
that's specifically for my, because here, just where my elbow is, so I've got golfer's elbow, which is underneath. That's the under part of your forearm. So that's right on the bone there. That's where my bridge hand, and every time I have to like tense my thumb against my knuckle, my index knuckle, that I get radiation of pain down my arm from that.
yeah.
And I've got no strength, so it like shakes, and then it goes into the shoulder. So I feel like I've had constant just bits, my shoulder. I tore my rotator playing snooker. It's only a minor tear, but because it tore, I was still playing and it wasn't healing. So I'm practicing in pain. Once you're in pain, like your brain's not focused properly because you're thinking about the pain, and it's gonna happen when you play another shot. So I had that for almost a year on the tour, from I think it was 23, 24, pretty much that whole season. So that was almost a write-off because I couldn't practice properly. I was just in pain all the time. So I just feel like I want a proper go for 2 seasons where I'm not going to have these physical issues. I mean, you're going to have bad backs because you're playing all the time. That's fine. I understand that. But things like this, if my elbow can get sorted out and I'm sort of fairly healthy, I'm back in the gym a little bit now, that I'll have no excuses then. I can just say I'll give it a good go, and if it's good enough, great. If it's not, then fine. I can sleep well at night.
But this difference, like this is the Pro Tour. It's a ruthless environment to play in.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, Jimmy White there. So you came up against Jimmy White.
Yes.
And
yeah.
okay, he got the better of you in that occasion. But
Mhm.
playing Jimmy White, that's you're a lot younger than Jimmy, so it's got to be still a weird experience. Even you're not.
Yeah, a little bit weird, I suppose, just because of the age gap, and because I kind of looked up to Jimmy, when I was younger, watching him play. But I didn't. A lot of people probably take him for granted a little bit because of his age, when he can still, he still played to a very good level. And I missed the boat in the first 4 frames, but after the interval, he played some really good stuff. I think he had a ton. I think he had another 90. He should have made another ton. He can still play to a really high level. So you shouldn't. Certainly didn't take him for granted, but I think other people thought that I might win that one just as a given, which is crazy. There's no givens on the tour, and I think that's definitely the difference between pro snooker and amateur snooker. You might get a decent draw and know you can not necessarily coast through, but it's unlikely you're going to have to scrape a win, into the side, nicking it from behind, like from 50 or behind into the side, kind of thing. Pro level, you have to play to a high level at all times, or else you're not going to win matches. It's as simple as that.
And this idea of Jimmy White, so you looked up to Jimmy when you were younger,
Yeah,
and maybe still to a degree now, actually.
yeah, of course, yeah.
He and I've mentioned this, especially with some of the younger, the new generation coming through, like the young, like kids who are still teenagers, basically.
Yeah.
They've looked up to Ronnie O'Sullivan, Mark Williams, John Higgins, but when they're playing, like that's not your hero anymore. That's someone who's trying to stop you from winning. You got to overcome that. And I suppose I've said it the same. It's with, even if you are good mates with another player, for that hour, 2 hours, 6 hours, whatever it may be, that's not your mate anymore. Afterwards, you shake hands, go for a pint, whatever. But you've still got to kind of put that to the back of your mind. It's a competitive sport, and even I guess just my feeling is that, and again, I'm in no position to say this with any kind of authority, but the feeling I get, and from what other players tell me, is that on the Pro Tour, it's never just a case of, I know I'll have too much for player B or player C.
Yeah.
You kind of gotta, you need to focus.
It shows from some of the top players. nowadays they're losing to some of the really low ranked players, and years ago it was very rare. Like 20 years ago, it was a very rare thing to happen. Nowadays there is no gimmies, and you do get the odd shock. It was actually quite surprising, even at the Crucible. Was it 15 out of the 16 matches were won by the seeded player?
Yes, of course, yeah.
I think it was only Hussein who got through from the qualifiers. But I mean, there's so many even just lower ranked players winning tournaments now. Was it Lee Paifan is he the lowest ranked one? I think.
Yeah, he was 81. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Jordan Brown
before
when
that
he
was
yeah.
the next lowest ranked.
Yeah.
But it's not a surprise. Like, these guys can play snooker.
This is the standard is so high across the board now. That's why even just getting on the tour is so difficult. Like the Q Tour this year, some of the players who haven't got on the tour or back on the tour, they've got a great argument for them to be on the tour. You feel like if they're on the tour, you wouldn't be surprised or shocked. So that's why, again, going back to Q Tour, I was really proud of myself to have got over the line and got the job done, because there's so many players that are going to go away from that event disappointed. So yeah, it was good.
There are a few come to mind straight away. One name who always comes up in this discussion is Mark Joyce.
Yeah, I was thinking of Joyce. Yeah,
the guy can play on this, and okay, he made it to the final qualifying match, and okay, who defeated him? I can't remember. Mitchell Mann, was it? No, Mitchell Mann beat Alan Taylor, another player who clearly.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I can't remember who beat Mark Joyce.
I'm off the top of my head now.
Yeah, I'll look it up after. But and I know it's so easy to say it, but these players are good enough to be on the tour.
Yeah.
Like, they can play, especially someone like Mark. He's got experience. Alan Taylor's got some experience now. It is tough. Like, the cutoff is so ruthless these days, and to be there it's an honour.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a privilege. Like I say that like when you're playing in big events, to be under that sort of pressure is a privilege to be there. It's there's so many things you could be doing with your life. You managing to play sport to a fairly high level. Some people might not agree, but it's a great thing to be able to experience, and some people will never understand that to be playing under that sort of pressure.
I've just thought of a question, but I don't know if you listen to the show, but for those who do, I'm a big fan of segues. So I'm just going to roll with this and see how it goes.
Okay.
So I'll take the opportunity to just announce quickly what's coming up on the Snooker Hall podcast, and that will directly lead into my next question, and we'll see how this segue works. It's not I make some notes for these episodes. I like a go with the flow vibe, but let's try this. So, a quick look ahead to what's coming up on the Snooker Hall podcast. The next episode will feature a guest appearance from Michael Day, the head writer at Totally Snookered and now commentator for WST Play. Michael knows the sport inside out and back to front, and he always seems to make good points, so it kind of makes me look bad, but it's worth it to hear what Michael has to say. Later in the month, I'll be joined by one of the most recognisable and respected voices in snooker media. He's the host of two popular snooker podcasts. Nick Metcalf will be on the Snooker podcast later in the month, and here's where the segue comes in. Maybe early next month, I'll be joined by the brains behind the social media account Mark Williams Tweets Explained, where we'll be talking about the impact of social media, how social media can be used to engage with younger fans, why maybe some players are not so active on social media. You're pretty active on social media on Instagram, I see.
I try to be.
But not everyone is, and I think it's a good thing that snooker players are kind of accessible. But Harvey, the brains behind Mark Williams Snooker Tweets, will join me to look at this from the fans' perspective and the social media perspective. So I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say. So there is the segue. It's not my best, if I'm honest, but you're pretty active on social media. I've got to ask, what's the experience like? You hear, and I guess you hear some horror stories, not just with snooker, but you hear like true abuse. But I think it can be used for positivity too. I think the vast majority of fans are very respectful. How have you found it?
Yeah, like you said, the majority is great. It's just that 1% of morons who just take it upon themselves to either comment on posts on an example was Instagram. I had one. I don't know if it was Championship League or one of the early qualifiers a couple of weeks ago. Straight away, like at the interval, I didn't really see this until the match is finished because my phone was off the whole time. How are you even on the tour? You know, like it's straight away. And to be honest with you, I was a bit disappointed. Normally, you're getting death threats or you get people wishing you had cancer and things like that's the bar normally. So to get that, I was a bit disappointed. Poor effort. That's what I said to
Yeah,
her.
it's
And
relatively
that's the way
tame.
you've got to look at it now because even like years ago, I used to get it as well. I don't know if it's because of my name. I don't know if I get a little bit more. I don't know. I know a lot of players who get it. But who do you think you are? Ronnie wannabe and all this. Now, I don't mind that because I get, especially at the shootout, I know a few of the people who always go to the shootout and I'll get ribbed for it and I don't mind. But it's when people are just outright nasty. That's when the line's drawn. I don't mind a bit of having a laugh. If you want to take the mick out of me a little bit, I don't mind that. But when you messaging people, probably because most of the time they've had a bet and you've lost their bet, I can promise them if I've lost a match, I would have lost more money than if I'd won compared to their bet if they'd won. I can almost certainly guarantee them that. And if they're putting any more on that, then they're
Then
fools
they've
anyway.
got bigger problems than you
Yeah,
missing the shot.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they look in the mirror. So, yes, it's a shame. But like I said, for the majority of it is great. I have a lot of interactions with people on Twitter. I like sending the odd Father Ted gif that people like. Yeah, big Father
Careful
Ted.
now.
Or even just talking about sport in general, or snooker. I don't mind interacting and chatting to people about snooker. And I think you should be able to interact with players. I mean, I'm just the most normal person. Like, I understand for the top players, it's a bit more celebrity like Ronnie. I can understand Judd, people like that. I can understand that it's a little bit more difficult to get access to them, I suppose. But for most of the tour, we're just very normal people who just happen to have snooker as our jobs. It's just one of those things, and a lot of it is, I guess, in the public eye to an extent. Some of it's on TV, some of it's online. So it's just part and parcel of being a snooker player. So I don't mind it for the most part.
And the experiences that I've seen, yeah, and do you know what you said actually is, I think you might be right there actually. A lot of it is just frustration because of gambling. And I know I've seen it not just with snooker. I remember it was Sloane Stephens, tennis
Yeah.
player. She lost the match, and oh my gosh, she posted the abuse that she got afterwards, and it went just beyond, her
Yeah.
tennis skills. Let's just say that.
This is the
But
problem. In other sports, it does go past, oh, you're just rubbish. Like, all of a sudden, racism comes into it.
yeah,
And
it's just like have
it's
a
it's
word with yourself.
vile.
Like, come on,
It's
man.
vile. I think it's worse if you're, especially if you're messaging someone and it's not because they've won they've lost you a bet. If you've got any other motivation for messaging, it's very weird. It's
Yeah,
very, very strange. I see it a lot on Facebook. I try and not go on Facebook as much anymore, but you'll see it say World Snooker put a post up about someone. Say they've just a clip of them potting a few balls. So, well, wow, this is a great break or whatever. And half of the comments is like, "Who is this?" They can't even. They're not very good, and all. Like, they don't even know them. So I just don't understand the mentality of these people. It makes no sense.
I thought it was summed up perfectly recently. It was Stephen Hallworth. And I got to say, every time he's been on this podcast, twice
The link
actually.
for sausage.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he likes it, but he was called a lot worse in the comments on a recent tweet. And all he didn't even give an opinion, actually. He just said it was something to do with the social media ban for young teenagers. And all he said, well, maybe one benefit of this could be this. He didn't say he agreed with it. He just said, maybe that. And he actually tried to look at it positively. And the abuse he got, he had to take the tweet down because he was just fed up with it. And I sent him a message afterwards joking, saying, you should be sent to a gulag for expressing an opinion. How dare you? But it was only like a week before he'd spoken to Phil Haig talking about abuse on social media. And as soon as he goes back on, it was straight away abuse because of an innocuous little comment which shouldn't really have offended anyone. It wasn't even an opinion. And I was like, no wonder some players just like, nah, forget this, sod this, I can't be bothered. And I think it is a wasted, it does kind of create a gap. And I'll discuss this more with Harvey because as he uses X.
Yeah.
So I would say it's a slightly different vibe to Instagram. And I'm not sure about TikTok, I don't really use it, but I'll be interested to see what Harvey has to say here because he's quite active and he's got thousands of followers on X because he made a fun account and it's lighthearted and Mark Williams follows him and comments on some of his tweets. And you know what? Everyone has a good time with it. And that's how it should be. And I just think when players are driven off it, it creates or it takes away an opportunity for the sport to become accessible. And then they're the first people to complain, the players aren't accessible. It's like, well, because you're the one abusing them, actually. Yeah. But I know that another form of social media, YouTube, WST are really into it at the moment. They're posting a lot of videos, and it's classic clips. So
a lot of content playing.
But it's good. I suppose it's good for nostalgia. It's like, oh my God, I remember that. God, I watched it with my mum. Or I suppose it just gets you thinking about it. Maybe you'll sign up to WST Play and watch the whole match.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing. Do you think there's anything more that snooker could do? Not just WST, but players, the media could do to help snooker? Because social media could be a fantastic tool. But is it maximised? Not sure. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I think especially as technology and especially like social media especially is become more important. Like even myself, I'm trying to be a little bit more active online. I've got a Facebook page now where I update most of my stuff is on there rather than my personal Facebook. Instagram's a bit of a balance. But even for someone like me, just posting a little bit more about my daily life as a snooker player, what I'm doing, that just gives a bit of an interaction and an understanding for people. So that brings them in to want to know more. So little things like that, I think more players can definitely do that. As for maybe world snooker, I'm not sure. I think it's good that they're bringing out more content, and I suppose the nostalgic vibe is good. I don't know. I'm not sure, to be honest with you, but I do definitely think more players should be a bit more active. But then it's the fine line of doing that and then you're getting abused for it. So it's very difficult to balance the two.
It was about 18 months ago. Elliot Slessor was a guest on here.
Yeah.
And I asked him, do you fancy a guest spot on the podcast? And he got back to me a few days later. He said, yeah, go on then. I think Elliot's quite an interesting guy, actually. He made some really good points. And some of what he said was really interesting, just about the game in general, about how he approaches it. He also spoke about some of the charity work he does, some of his favourite events, and how he approached them. But the charity work was an important one. He was doing a lot of work he was raising money for a kids' charity up north where he's from. And it was for a children's cancer charity. And just getting toys for kids, maybe getting some famous faces to go and see these kids for Christmas. And this is good work. He can't change their situation, but he can maybe try and do something to make their Christmas a little bit better.
Absolutely,
he was doing that. But that didn't get any traction. It was what he said about the Crucible, which was twisted, by the way. And but But then I said to him, like, Elliot, I'm sorry, like, I bet you're getting a lot of abuse over this, over people twisting your words here. And he said, yeah, this is why I don't do podcasts. And I thought it's typical because they've ignored all of the good work he's done, like his hard work throughout his career. He had a pretty good season up to that point, and I just thought that was partly the media, but it was people believing what the media had said. And I felt bad for him, actually, and I apologised to him. I said, Elliot, I didn't honestly wasn't trying to set you up with a ticking time bomb of a question.
Yeah.
But he just said, look, if it helps to move the sport forward, maybe we should consider moving the World Championship from the Crucible. He didn't say we should. He said, if this, then that. But he immediately jumped on it. And he said that, these exact words, that's why I don't do them. And we have, as fans, we do have a duty to be a bit more respectful to the players. And I'm looking forward to chatting with Harvey about this because I really want to dive into this because it's a massive part of sport these days. So it's the players.
This is where the media definitely has a part to play in that. Like as an example, the other night with Thomas Tuchel and Jude Bellingham. So Tuchel's been interviewed, and I think it was Gabriel Clark's. I think he was a bit thrown back by the way Tuchel had reacted and his opinion that the performance wasn't very good considering they've just got into the semi-final. But he's just given his opinion. That's the whole reason they've got that far is because of his mentality of pushing them further and further. So he's then gone to Bellingham with. He didn't so much twist what Tuchel said, but the vibe he gave off then has put Bellingham on the back foot, and he's gone a bit protective and like, oh no, I don't like that. Like, if he doesn't understand what it's like to play against these players. When that wasn't the vibe that Tuchel was giving at all. He was just being honest about the performance. It needs to be better, especially if we want to win the thing, and that's the whole reason that England have appointed him is to win the World Cup or the Euros or whatever. So little details like that make such a difference, and especially with football, like the way they twist things, stories and players and things like that. It's not good, and they need to try and. Well, I don't know if they'll bother because that's what gets them clicks, that's what gets them views.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
So that's the problem. Clickbait is part of the problem. And rage baiting is part of the problem.
Stirring the pot to get clicks. Yeah, and that's really sad. But yeah. Happier thoughts. You're back on tour.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back on tour. And congratulations for that because a lot of players have come and a lot have gone. And, okay, some players make it back, but it takes a bit of, what's the word? Cojones, I guess, to fight. As you said, you've had problems with your arm. It's that's pretty... well done.
Thank you.
Sean, I want to thank you for your time. You've been a fantastic guest on the Snooker podcast, and you are welcome back any time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
I want to wish you luck for the rest of the season and for the best of the season. And hopefully we'll speak soon.
Yeah. Cheers. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Sean.